night. And when we get off to good starts, we win first quarters. We pretty much do a great job of following through in the second, third, and fourth. So our starts are extremely important for us.
What do you see as the biggest key to winning the possession battle?
It's got to be physical. And that's what it's going to come down to. There's going to be a ton of battles on the boards. It's going to come down to what's happening in the paint. It's going to come down to taking care of the basketball. And all those things start with physicality. If you're driving and you get bumped and you give it up, defensively, if you're hitting and holding guys and standing them up, making them play in small spaces, forcing them into turnovers and those types of things. So it's going to come down to the physicality of the moment.
Chris.
Hey, J.B.
What's up, Chris?
What are the emotions like for you on a playoff game day?
Ready to go. Yeah, actually slept last night, which is the first in a while, and woke up this morning ready to go. Just feeling really good about where our guys are, all the preparation that we've been through these past 3 days of practice and individual stuff, the questions the guys have asked, the way they've been engaged. Just feel really good about where we are as a group.
Throughout the year, you've played big, you've played small, you've played fast, you've played slow. You talked about Orlando's unique size, and all the guys talked about it as well. Given that they have so many big bodies, is there any hesitancy on your part to try and downsize and play small in this series?
No, it's going to come down to matchups and situations. What the game calls for in that moment. I think you're going to have to be willing to go to it. And at this point in time, you can't be afraid of it. And, I've got a ton of respect and belief in the guys that are in our locker room. And no matter what situation we put them in, they're going to scrap, give it their best, and go out and perform at a high level. So, our guys throughout this season, with the injuries, the ins and outs, like everybody in that locker room proved that they can help us in some sort of way. So if their skill set is needed, we have no hesitation in putting them out there and playing to their strength.
Tom, did you take good mental notes when you were in Turks and Caicos with Loves?
Yeah, I was picking his brain on everything. Yeah, he didn't know it at the time, but yeah.
Hey, we always talk about how different the playoffs are. How are they the most different?
There is a intensity possession by possession that you typically don't see in the regular season. I think it sounds a little cliche, but it is a literal thing that every possession matters when it comes to these games. Possessions typically cut down. Shot clock, usage is normally higher. So like everything that you do is amplified, and 2 or 3 possessions in a game, can end up costing you in the fourth quarter. So it is a possession by possession game, which is unlike the regular season.
I know you guys rely on analytics a lot. They don't shoot it great from deep, but they've also had a game where they made 25. Does that kind of stuff kind of go out the window to some degree?
Yeah, I think because when you look at analytics are always at 30,000 feet. Right, so they talk about teams in the regular season who are mid-range teams, who may not be as effective or, what have you. But when it comes down to a 1-possession game or, a 80-possession game, like the numbers shrink and the value of a 48% shot or a 50% shot becomes more than the value of a 30% shot or a 33% shot. So, when you're looking at analytics in these moments, and you'll see that there's a lot of playoff teams who are really successful in the mid-range area because they shoot a high percentage of there, and because the possession shrink, the value of the three-point shot isn't as much as well.
Nate Ulrich from Weekend Journal. Any restrictions on Sam Merrill coming back?
Not that I know of.
And so how beneficial is it to have him available, given that, obviously he's shown you what you can provide, including one of the games against these guys in the regular season he went off?
He's a weapon, and he's a guy as a weapon that can fit with all the other guys on the floor. He's not a guy who you have to change your offense for and just put the ball in his hands and everybody stands around and kind of watches him. He's a guy who understands how to play the game, off the ball and create triggers not only for himself but for his teammates. So he's easy to just throw in there, and he can change the game for you because of his shot-making ability.
To this time a year ago, do you feel like you are more set in who your rotation is, and if so, why?
I think this year the guys being on the floor have proven what they're capable of. And the guys that have been on the floor have proven that their skill set can translate to this. Last year it was, we played the regular season a pretty set way. But then when we got to the playoffs, because of the way we were defended, then we had to change how we played. And I think this year, having the entire season to play with the dynamic offense, the more ball movement, the spacing, and those types of things, I think it's more compatible to playoff basketball when it comes to teams understanding personnel, knowing your play sets, all those things. Like, I believe this group makes us much more difficult to defend. So where you can go and who you can trust to do what jobs needed that night.
Jimmy Watkins, Cleveland.com. Hey, J.B.
What's up?
Darius has had such a roller coaster season with the injuries. Where is he right now? How do you think he closed the season?
I think mentally he's in a great space. I don't think we talked enough about what he went through and how difficult it was. When you are a professional athlete and you break your jaw and you're wired shut for 2 or 3 weeks or whatever it was, that takes a mental toll on you. Being able to only drink liquids and not being able to touch a basketball for 2 weeks or whatever it may have been, mentally that takes a toll on you. And then when you're trying to work your way back, you lose a lot, whether you can't lift weights, you can't touch a basketball, and then you're just trying to figure it out in the middle of an NBA season. That's not easy for a guy. So I think now Darius mentally is in a really good spot. The conversations we've had, his performances, he's ready to go. He understands the challenges that are in front of him. He understands how important he is to his teammates. But I feel like he's in a great place mentally and ready to do the job.
You mentioned earlier, the questions that the guys were asking. You mentioned earlier this week that you wanted to hear the right conversations. What are the right conversations and the right questions?
It's just a matter of solving the issue that's in front of you, right? Whatever comes up, when you're around people enough, whether it's your family, your teammates, or whatever, sometimes you get in arguments, for no reason and never solve the issue. What I heard our guys doing this week is just asking the right questions to fix whatever it was, or to make whatever it was even better than where it stands. And to me, those are the proper discussions that you should be having this time of year.
Spencer Davies, Cavs Insider. The conversations and that stuff that those guys are talking about, the younger guys, it seemed like this week they've been really locked in on the game plan itself. Over the last year, knowing that this is their second go-round in the playoffs, what has allowed them to mature in that way, and why are you so confident in those particular set of guys?
Because, they've proven, whether, when we first started this thing, as an individual and a team, every year they've proven to continue to get better, right? Whether it went from, play in, play off, whatever it was, this group has been able to take the next step. And it's because, these guys learn from the previous year and understand going into the summer and throughout the season how they make change that's impactful, not for themselves, but for the team as a whole. And that's their mindset, is they just want to get better as a team. And I just believe in, what they've been able to do, and they haven't proven me wrong yet. So, I'm confident in them because they show the confidence in themselves. And, all they want to do is do it together. And when you're banded together like that, anything in front of you is possible.
Okay, it's no wrap for Coach, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.